Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Tech for Senior. Hewie, episode 285.
We're getting up. We're getting closer and closer to 300.
Well, yeah, 300. I think 𝕃𝕚𝕝𝕝 said something about he was doing his 330th show. I thought because we're doing probably more shows than he is, so we might even pass him. Anyway, welcome, everyone. I'm Ron Brown. I'll be your host today. It is September what is it? The 22nd, September the 22nd today. Hopefully everyone's having a great fall. The weather's been really nice in Comox. You'll see some of the videos I made were outside today because I just couldn't work inside. It was so nice outside, and I know the rain is coming, so we'll have some fun. We've got a big show for you today. Lots of interesting stuff to talk about. Don't forget, this Thursday, of course, is our Thursday show, which of course we talk about all the news of the week. And for those of you who have been to our website recently, you'll notice that I've made some changes. You can now see our Monday show. The replay on our Monday show is right on our website. Also, our newsletter is also there. So if you want to go and see the latest newsletter, it is also right on our website as well. So lots of changes there. If you haven't visited, you might want to pop over to Tech for Senior and have a look at that. Let's have a look. Our three premiere videos today. I'm going to be talking about satellites and phones, which was just a coincidence that I also have a video today about satellites and phones. So a year ago I talked about it. So it's nothing to do. The two are totally different topics, but I will be talking about that. I've also put in 𝕠𝕬𝕝𝕝 talk about Microsoft using Microsoft Word as the database. That's still probably the top three videos that are on our site, so it's a very popular one. I thought you might be interested in that. And Bill James is going to talk about the Microsoft Store. So we'll talk about those. Those are all on our premiere version, which of course I'll put the link in the chat. Hewie, you had a good week? I'll introduce everybody. Hewie, you had a good week?
Yeah, a lot of doctor's appointments, a lot of things to contribute to my video.
Okay. All right. I know you added an extra 3 minutes, so we're not going to talk much about it because we got to get moving here. Yeah. All right. And of course, we have Bill James. You've done well. You're happy with life and everything's going well?
Yes, I am. Thank you. The video that I produced today will be interesting since we had that earlier discussion about
yes
you for Windows 10. So there might be some questions.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions. We have lots of interesting videos today. And of course, Mike Leaman has a great outro for us today, music outro. Thank you, Mike, for doing that. No scratches on the new car yet, or new truck, eh?
None. I'm amazed.
All right. Okay, that's good. So listen, we're going to move on here to get going. And the first video I have for you it's titled Apple Watch Blood Pressure Notifications. Now, this is a new feature that we talked about. It just came out this last couple of weeks. It's been passed by the FDA, and every single video out there that I've listened to about this is all wrong. I mean, really, as per our discussion in the prelim, people don't understand about blood pressure or how it works. So this is a video. It's pretty self-explanatory. There may be some questions after when we can do it in the Q&A, but it's a very, very self-explanatory video about the brand new notifications that you'll be getting, and this is part of the Apple Watch, but it will be retrofitted to the prior versions of the watch. So I want to this will explain it for you.
So Apple finally did it. They dropped that massive health feature everyone's been waiting for, blood pressure alerts for the Apple Watch. It's a huge deal, promising to put some pretty crucial health insights on literally millions of wrists. But, there's a lot of hype and honestly, a lot of confusion too.
So let's just cut right to it. The big question on everyone's mind: can your watch actually measure your blood pressure? We're going to break down exactly what this new feature does, and just as importantly, what it doesn't do.
And you can see why there's so much buzz, right? I mean, you just have to look at how Apple talked about this thing. The announcement got so much attention because they really positioned this as a major leap forward for personal health.
Yeah, they used words like groundbreaking health insights, putting this new hypertension notification right at the center of it all. The goal here is to be a real game changer. But why is that so important?
And this is why it is such a huge deal. According to the World Health Organization, 1.28 billion adults around the world have hypertension. And they call it the silent killer for a reason. Most of the time, there are no symptoms at all.
Okay, so how on earth does a little watch on your wrist even begin to tackle a problem this big? Well, the answer's in some tech that's both pretty clever and, yeah, a little complex. It all starts with those green lights on the back of your watch. You know the ones. This tech is called photoplethysmography, or PPG for short. Basically, it shines light into your skin and then measures how much of that light bounces back. It's essentially seeing the pulse of blood as it flows through your tiny blood vessels. Okay, so this diagram really helps break it down. You can see how that raw data from the light sensor eventually becomes a health alert. It starts with a cuffless device, like your watch, just gathering that raw data. Then it's pushed through these complex algorithms that use things like your personal info and machine learning to turn that pulse data into an estimation of your blood pressure. And that word estimation is super important here. It's not a direct measurement, it's a very educated guess.
And this is a really, really important piece of the puzzle. This is not an instant reading. It's not like you just press a button and get a number. Nope. As you can see here, the watch is quietly collecting data in the background for a full 30 days. It's looking for consistent, long-term trends before it even thinks about sending you a notification. Okay, but this is where we have to get into the fine print. Because what this feature doesn't do is just as important as what it does.
This is it, the million-dollar question. After all that data collection, all that analysis, is the watch going to show me my actual numbers? You know, like 120/80?
The answer is a big, clear no. This feature is absolutely not designed to give you specific on-the-spot blood pressure readings. This slide really lays it all out. What you get is a notification, basically a warning flag, and a nudge to go see your doctor. What you don't get are those specific numbers or any kind of real-time measurement. In fact, Apple's own advice is to follow up by taking your blood pressure for 7 days with a proper traditional cuff.
And Apple is also super specific about who this is not for. If you're under 22, if you're pregnant, or if you've already been diagnosed with hypertension, this tool isn't meant for you. It's really designed to try and catch cases that haven't been diagnosed yet.
So that's the tech side. But what are the actual doctors and scientists saying about all this? Well, they're definitely intrigued by the potential, but they're also being pretty cautious. This quote from Hypertension Canada pretty much sums up where the experts stand. They see the promise, for sure, but they make it very clear that these devices are not ready to be used for making real medical decisions. You always have to confirm the readings with a validated, cuff-based device.
Experts are also worried about this thing called pseudo-precision. Think of it like this. Imagine a device that you calibrate with a real blood pressure reading. Then, for weeks, it just keeps showing you that same number over and over. It looks precise, right? But it's not actually tracking any real changes. It's just repeating old information, which isn't clinically useful.
So you're probably thinking, wait a minute, didn't this get FDA clearance? Doesn't that mean it's been tested and it works? Well, yes, it has been tested, but it's really important to understand what those tests actually cover.
Getting proper medical validation is a whole other level. It's not just one test while you're sitting perfectly still. True validation means putting the device through its paces in all kinds of real-world situations. When you're sitting, standing, exercising, even checking to see if it can accurately track changes after someone takes medication. Every single one of these tests is crucial to prove a device is actually reliable enough for clinical use. Okay, so after all that, all the limitations, all the warnings from experts, you have to wonder, right? Is this thing genuinely useful, or is it just a gimmick?
Well, this is where the public health angle just changes the whole conversation. According to the WHO, a shocking 42% of people with hypertension don't even know they have it. They're just walking around with a condition that puts them at a higher risk for heart attack and stroke.
And this is Apple's big play. The company thinks this feature could flag over 1 million people with undiagnosed hypertension in just its first year. That's 1 million people who might get prompted to talk to a doctor when they otherwise might not have. And that brings us to the single most important thing to remember about this whole feature. The Apple Watch is a screening tool. It is not a diagnostic tool. Its one and only job is to raise a flag and get you to start a conversation with a real doctor. It was never, ever meant to replace one. So, where does that leave us? On the one hand, we have this incredible new tool that could potentially save lives by catching a silent killer. But on the other hand, it raises some pretty big questions. Are we looking at the future of public health screening, or are we just creating a new wave of digital anxiety? For now, the answer is probably somewhere in the middle.
Okay, so that's the information on the hypertension notification. And that's why I was talking about Shannon and Sunshine Hot Dogs in the preamble before we started the show, and sort of you'll see where it followed through. I know there'll probably be some questions in the Q&A, but anyway, Bill James, you are up next. Microsoft rewards. Oh, I'm going to play your video, right?
Yeah.
That's right. I'm playing it. Okay, hold on. Hold on. I got it.
Welcome, I'm Bill James, Tech for Senior. Today we're diving into the Microsoft Rewards program, a free, easy way to earn points just by searching the web, playing games, and shopping online. These points can be redeemed for gift cards, Xbox perks, and even ways to extend the life of your Windows 10 computer. Let's get started. Microsoft Rewards is a loyalty program from Microsoft. Every time you use Bing to search the web, shop in the Microsoft Store, play games on Xbox, or complete daily quizzes, you earn points. Best of all, it's free. If you already have a Microsoft account, you're halfway there. Getting started is simple. Sign in with your Microsoft account. Go to rewards.microsoft.com. Click Join Now. From then on, every time you use Microsoft services, you'll automatically rack up points. There are lots of fun ways to earn points. Daily sets, 3 quick activities each day, like quizzes or polls. Complete them to keep your streak alive. Bing searches. Every search earns points. Use Microsoft Edge to maximize your daily total. Quizzes and trivia. Test your knowledge while collecting bonus points. Xbox Game Quests. Play games, complete tasks, and earn even more. Shopping. Every purchase in the Microsoft Store gives you points back. Now the fun part, spending your points. You can redeem points for gift cards from Amazon, Starbucks, Xbox, and many others. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Extend your subscription without paying cash. Discounts on Microsoft products, donations to charities you care about, sweepstakes entries for big prizes. For example, a $5 Microsoft Store gift card costs about 5,000 points. You can also get 1 month of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for around 12,000 points. Here's where things get really useful. Windows 10 is reaching its end of support, but Microsoft has introduced Extended Security Updates, ESU, for people who want to keep using it beyond the official end date. Normally, these ESU subscriptions cost real money, but with Microsoft Rewards, you can redeem gift cards or Microsoft credit to cover that cost, effectively extending your Windows 10 protection for another year without dipping into your wallet. Here's how. Save up enough points for a Microsoft Store gift card. Redeem your points for the card. Use that balance to purchase your Windows 10 Extended Security Update plan from the Microsoft Store. This means your daily searches, quizzes, and Xbox gaming can literally buy you another year of Windows 10 support. Check your rewards balance on rewardsmicrosoft.com. You may already have points you are unaware of. And to maximize your rewards, check the Rewards app on mobile. Complete weekly punch cards for bonus points. Redeem points before they expire, usually after 18 months of inactivity. So that's the Microsoft Rewards program. Free points for everyday activities, exciting rewards, and even a way to extend the use of your Windows 10 computer. Sign up today at rewards.microsoft.com. Start small and watch your points grow. Remember, don't leave free points on the table. Thanks for watching and listening. I'm Bill James, Tech for Senior.
So how to get your points with Microsoft. Thank you, Bill. And you talked about that before. You said it's pretty easy to rack up the points. So that's pretty easy to get some points for yourself. Okay,
And
great.
you may already have points that you're unaware of. Just go check. You probably
Just go
have
check.
enough points to buy your ESU.
Excellent. All right. Now, the next topic I'm going to talk about is satellites, satellite phones, and or the ability of the new feature called direct satellite cell service to satellite. Now, I'm pretty excited about this, but I don't know a lot of people that are. I mean, so I wanted to do a video about this. This is relatively new feature, but it's pretty cool. And you probably you have this service, just don't know you have it. It's available certainly on Rogers in Canada, and T-Mobile and Verizon have it, and you don't need any special software. So it's a bit confusing, but I think you might find the video helpful. So we got this made for you to try and sort out the issue, sort out the problem. So let's have a look at it.
Okay, let's just think about this for a second. What if your phone could get a signal, a real signal, literally anywhere on Earth? I'm not talking about just in cities or near a highway. I mean in the middle of the ocean, on top of a mountain, anywhere. We might be looking at the beginning of the end for mobile dead zones. You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You're trying to send that one critical text, make an important call, or just figure out where you are on a map, and boom, nothing. Your $1,000 smartphone suddenly has all the functionality of a paperweight. That no service screen is a universal frustration. But what if it could actually become a thing of the past? Well, there's a new wave of technology that's promising to do exactly that. The big idea? To connect the standard smartphone that's already in your pocket from anywhere on the planet. And listen, this isn't some far-off sci-fi concept. It is happening right now. It's all thanks to a technology called Direct-to-Device, or D2D for short. And the name really tells you everything you need to know. It's a satellite service that talks directly to a normal, everyday mobile phone. And the most important part? No special hardware needed. We are not talking about those clunky, super expensive satellite phones you see in spy movies. So how in the world does a satellite, hundreds of kilometers up in space, talk to the phone in your hand? Well, the easiest way to wrap your head around it is to just picture a regular cell tower, but instead of being on the ground, it's orbiting the Earth at incredible speed. Someone on Reddit actually put it perfectly with this quote. Starlink's direct-to-cell satellites, for instance, have this really advanced modem on board that, basically acts just like a cell tower. As far as your phone is concerned, it just sees another network to connect to when your normal signal drops out. Simple as that. Now, there are a couple of main ways companies are trying to pull this off. The first approach, which is used by Globalstar for Apple's SOS service, uses dedicated satellite frequencies, this MSS spectrum. The catch is, it needs a special chip inside the phone. But the other method, the one SpaceX is pioneering, uses standard mobile frequencies. And that is the real game changer, because it's designed to work with the phone you already have, with no changes at all. As you can probably guess, this new tech is kicking off a whole new kind of space race. I mean, launching a network of cell towers into space is a massive undertaking, both technologically and financially. It is a really high-stakes game, and there are some huge players involved. And we can see the two leading strategies right here. You've got SpaceX's Starlink satellites flying in a really low Earth orbit. We're talking just 340 kilometers up. Now, that's great for signal strength, but it means they have to be incredibly careful not to mess with the ground networks. Globalstar, on the other hand, is way higher up, so their biggest fight is just overcoming the huge distance that signal has to travel. So two very different philosophies, and each one comes with its own unique set of problems to solve. And believe me, the challenges do not stop there. Radio frequencies, or spectrum, they're a finite resource. Think of it like real estate. They're not making any more of it. Everybody wants a piece, and you can't just start broadcasting wherever you want. These companies have to fight their way through a super complex regulatory maze to get permission, and the number one priority for everyone is making absolutely sure these new signals from space don't interfere with the cellular networks we all depend on every single day. Okay, so that's the tech, that's the business side of things. But why does any of this actually matter? This is where we shift from theory to the real-world impact on people's lives. And trust me, it's about a whole lot more than just being able to check your Instagram from a remote hiking trail. For that, let's head way up north to Canada's Northwest Territories and visit two remote Indigenous communities, ℙ𝕝𝕒𝕒 and 𝕔𝕠𝕗𝕗𝕗. These are places you can mostly only get to by plane or, for part of the year, on ice roads. Getting reliable, fast internet here has been a massive challenge for a very long time. For the people in these communities, the digital divide wasn't just some abstract concept. It was their daily reality. The internet was painfully slow, unreliable, incredibly expensive, and it came with these tiny data caps that made modern online life pretty much impossible. Okay, now look at this. A study from the Ivy Business School compared residents who got new satellite internet, like Starlink, with those still on the older connections. The chart on the right, that's the Starlink users. See all that blue? That's them accessing services online. They are way more likely to see a doctor via telehealth, take an online class, or use government services. The difference is just, it's night and day. And this quote from one of the residents, it just says it all. It's not just about these essential services. It's about the freedom from constantly worrying about how much data you're using. The freedom to just live your digital life the way so many of us completely take for granted. And that freedom extends directly to the economy. The same study found that Starlink users were massively more likely to get involved in e-commerce, to provide online services, even work from home. It turns out, when you remove the barrier of a terrible connection, you unlock some serious economic potential. So, if this technology can have such a huge impact, what's the game plan for bringing it to the rest of the world? I mean, what does a global rollout even look like? For Starlink's direct-to-cell service, it's all happening in phases. They started with text messaging back in 2024. The plan for 2025 is to add data and support for all those Internet of Things, or IoT devices. And only after all of that is working will they enable full voice calling. It's a really clear strategy. Start with the absolute essentials first and build from there. But here's the thing, one company can't do this alone. To make this whole thing feel seamless, the satellite operators are partnering with mobile carriers all over the globe. And this is just a small sample of the big names that are already on board. The idea is really simple. When you lose your local signal, your phone will just automatically switch over to the satellite network, kind of like how it roams when you travel to another country. So we end up right back where we started, but now with a totally new perspective. This dream of a world without any dead zones is quickly becoming a reality, and it promises incredible gains in safety, in economic opportunity, and in social equity. But it also begs a question. In a world where we can always be connected, what might we lose? What's the value of being truly, completely unreachable? That's something we're all going to have to figure out together.
Okay, exciting times. All right, I think it must be Hewie's turn.
I hope so. And let's do this. For most of us, hopping in a car, it's second nature, right? We don't even think about it. But what happens when that simple freedom just vanishes? So today we're going to talk about a really big challenge that so many older adults face. What happens when they have to stop driving? And this is really a story about something we all want: independence. All right, let's get into it. Okay, let's kick things off with a big number: 600,000. That is the number of older adults right here in the U.S. who stop driving every single year. And that one moment, it can change everything. It can take a life full of freedom and turn it into one where isolation is a real everyday risk. And the impact of that, it's just staggering, yeah? The research shows that when an older person stops driving, it can lead to a 51% drop in the size of their social circle. I mean, just think about that for a second. Your world literally shrinking by half. This isn't just some statistic on a page. It's a direct line to loneliness. And this quote, this one really gets to the heart of it all. It's from a senior who started using a new ride service. See, getting a ride isn't just about logistics, getting from point A to point B. It's about connection. It's about community. And as this person so powerfully said, it's an opportunity to get out and be among the living. Wow. So let's be clear. When the driving stops, the consequences are so much bigger than just a simple inconvenience. They can be really severe, hitting both mental and physical health in ways you might not expect. Yeah, losing the ability to drive can be a fast track to social isolation. We're talking about a higher risk of depression, more missed doctor's appointments, and just this deep sense of loneliness. So you see, this isn't just a lifestyle adjustment. It's a full-blown public health issue. Okay, so I know what you're probably thinking right now. Hey, we live in the age of Uber and Lyft, right? On demand, everything. Problem solved. But not so fast. It's actually not that simple. Those services, well, they weren't really designed with many older adults in mind. And that creates what you could call a huge accessibility gap. And that brings us right to the central question. If the tech is already here, why isn't it the perfect fix for everyone in this community? Well, the reasons are actually super specific, and they tell us a lot about the real challenges of designing technology that truly includes everyone. It really boils down to two main hurdles. First up, you've got the technology barrier. Get this, a staggering 58% of seniors don't even own a smartphone. So right there, they're locked out of any app-based service. And second, there's the physical assistance gap. Because of liability concerns, your standard rideshare driver isn't trained or even allowed to give the kind of hands-on help that some riders really need. But you know where there's a clear need like this, innovators always step up to fill the void. So let's take a look at the new services that are bridging this gap and paving some new roads to independence. So here's a breakdown of how these new solutions are tackling the problem head-on. You've got services like GoGo Grandparent that just get rid of the app requirement completely. Others are adding these amazing layers of support, like monitoring the ride 24/7. And then for that crucial physical assistance piece, you have specialized companies like USAV, which are really in a league of their own. Let's just quickly break down how a service like GoGo Grandparent works, because it's actually beautifully simple. All you do is call a special number from any phone. I'm talking even an old school landline, and you get to talk to a real person. But here's the real magic. The secret sauce step for a team of people is monitoring every single ride 24/7. So if a driver gets lost or, cancels last minute, a real human being jumps in immediately to fix it. That's a level of security and peace of mind that is just huge. And then for folks who need more than just a ride, you have companies like Azure. They offer true door-to-door service. Their drivers are trained to official ADA standards. That means they're actually certified to provide physical assistance. We're talking about a whole different level of care here. So we've got all these fantastic new solutions popping up, but that leads to the most important question of all, right? Do they actually work? Do they make a real difference in people's lives? Let's look at the data and see what the real-world impact is, and we have a great answer. Thanks to a landmark study from USC and the AARP Foundation. They did something really simple but so powerful. They gave 150 older adults free, unlimited Lyft rides for 3 months straight. They wanted to see what would happen when that transportation barrier was just completely removed. And what they found? It's absolutely fascinating, especially how people use these rides. You'd probably guess most of the trips were to the doctor's office, and yeah, about 31% were for medical care. That makes sense. But the rest, a huge 69%, that was for social visits, fitness classes, running errands, just getting out of the house. This was never just about health care. It was all about quality of life. And the results? Honestly, they were just stunning. An incredible 92% of the people in the study said that having this access to rides improved their quality of life. I mean, come on, that is an incredible impact. It's practically unanimous. And remember that isolation problem we talked about at the beginning? Well, this tackles it head on. 2/3, 2 out of every 3 people in the study saw a boost in their social visits. That is concrete proof that reliable transportation is one of the most powerful weapons we have in the fight against loneliness. Period. So these services are amazing, no doubt about it. But the road ahead isn't perfectly smooth. There are still challenges, especially when you think about where these rides fit into the bigger picture of healthcare. First off, it helps to know a key term you're going to hear a lot, NEMT. That stands for non-emergency medical transportation. This is basically a healthcare benefit that covers rides to and from medical appointments. And some insurance plans, especially Medicare Advantage plans, are starting to offer it. And what's really interesting is that we're seeing these plans partner more and more with services like Uber and Lyft to provide that benefit. The whole conversation is shifting to see transportation as a core part of healthcare itself. But, and this is a big but, here's the single biggest hurdle we have left to clear: cost. After those free rides in the US study ended, most of the participants simply couldn't afford to keep using the service on their own. The study figured that unlimited rides would cost around $500 a month, and for so many people on a fixed income, that price is it's out of reach. So if this is an issue that you or someone you love is facing, here's a little takeaway toolkit for you. First, you've got to really assess the specific needs. How comfortable are they with technology? What level of physical help do they need? Second, explore all the different options we've just talked about, from the adapted ride shares to the super specialized services. And third, and this is a big one, check for benefits. See if there's a Medicare Advantage plan or maybe a local agency on aging that can help bring that cost down. And all of this brings us to one final really big thought. As the number of older adults in our country keeps growing, we really have to ask ourselves this fundamental question. When you see the undeniable links between being able to get around, staying connected, and a person's overall health, is reliable transportation just a simple convenience, or is it something more? Is it, as all this evidence seems to suggest, a fundamental, non-negotiable part of healthcare and well-being? It's a powerful question to think about.
I'm sitting here in my golf cart in Eagle Village in Bradenton, Florida. Give you a little background. Just thought I'd talk a little bit about what we've been talking about for the last about 10 minutes. And that has to do with my no-car life. This past couple of weeks have been a big change for me. I decided to give up my automobile. I bought this little golf cart to ride around the village. What I wanted to talk about a little bit is some of the experiences I've had in the last couple of weeks. The insurance that I have, Medicare Advantage plan here in the US, I'm able to get some transportation given to me as part of that. What I have is 10 round trip or 20 single trips to doctors. It's called Ride to MD. I did it for the first time on Friday, and I expected one of those little teeny buses to come around and pick me up and with a bunch of other people. Turned out it was an Uber. So I had an Uber ride to my eye specialist, sent another Uber to pick me up and bring me home. So I've been happy with that. I've got 9 more now to use for the rest of the year. The other thing I have is the doctor's office that I use as my primary physician has many other things that they do, like drawing blood and so on. They offer a free lift to take me to my appointments at their offices for free as part of their service. So I don't have to worry about transportation to and from any of my doctors. Walgreens is my prescription center, and they charge $4 per delivery. They have not been able to keep my prescriptions where I would get them all at the same time. So every time I had a delivery, it's going to cost me $4 if I stay with Walgreens. Luckily, the doctor's office that I have actually has a pharmacy. They have most of the drugs that I need. All of my prescriptions are zero deductible, so it works out well for me. I'll have somebody drive me to Walgreens to pick it up, or I'll spend the $4 to get it delivered. But either way, I've solved that issue. I am using Walmart Plus to deliver my groceries. I'm probably going to use Instacart for one of the grocery stores that I want to use. That's all they will accept. So I probably will use them, or I will only have someone take me to that grocery store, which someone did on Friday. So it's working out well for me so far. I'm happy with it. I've lost that independence where I can just say, oh, I want to go out to dinner tonight. I'm just going to go, and I'm going to go to this place or that place. I can't do that now. That's the one thing I do miss, but it's helped me. I've lost about 8 pounds so far from not going out to restaurants. So there's some benefits to that as well. I hope you're learning something about non-driving capabilities. So it may not work for you, but it's working for me. I'm Hewie Poplock. Thanks for joining.
Well done. Well done, Hewie. Really good show. Really good video. Thanks so much for doing that. It's great. Yep. Liked it. It was good. And I'm sure there'll be lots of questions about that. So let's see the last session here. We're going to talk about hang up and dial. Mike Saunders is going to help me with this. All right, here we go. The one thing you need to do to prevent telephone scams. I'm Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Today I wanted to do a video about something that really hit home to me this week. It's a beautiful September day, and I thought I would do this out on my deck so you can watch the boats going in and out of the harbor as I do my little talk. So enjoy the scenery, but I have a very important topic to discuss today, one in which I felt ashamed at the way I felt about a certain topic, and an event happened last Tuesday which had a big effect on some of the things that I'm going to be doing now with Tech for Senior. So the topic today is how to prevent telephone scams as a senior, which is an ever-increasing problem. So let me take you to last Tuesday. Now Tuesday is my Costco day. I always go to Costco on Tuesday. Now I like to get there. In Canada, Costco opens at 9 o'clock in the morning. I like to be there because it actually opens 15 minutes early. It opens at 8:45. I get there about 10 or 15 minutes early. I like to sit back in my car, enjoy the radio, and get my thoughts together before tackling the Costco deal. So I was there last Tuesday. I got there on time. I was there about 8:30, so I had 15 minutes to go before Costco opened. Well, at that time, I was listening to my favorite TV show, or my favorite radio show, and I was listening to a topic which came on, and it said this lady was scammed on the telephone of $30,000. Now, I thought, oh, another person. Why don't they just watch Tech for Senior, all the videos we do about scamming, and why didn't she just save her password, don't give it out? How could she be so stupid? Anyway, I wasn't going to listen to the show. I was going to turn it over, but I thought I'll just listen to it until Costco opens. And then the show came on and they were interviewing her. And I felt really bad for my feelings. And not only was I so involved in the show, I missed the Costco opening at 1:45, and I stayed and listened to the whole show in the car until it was over. She was a very dynamic speaker, and one in which I wanted to share her story with you because it had such an impact on me and things that I'm going to change at Tech for Senior. So let me tell you about this lady. Now you have to remember I'm listening to this on the radio, so I don't actually get to see her, but I would suspect she's probably in her 50s. She lives in Ontario, Canada. She must be a small business lady because she had a business account, and she's very articulate and, most importantly, a very bright person. So she was relating her story on what happened, and I want to go over that because this is important. This lady was in the know and got caught up in a scam that everybody here would probably fall for. So let me explain what happened. It was early in the morning, just before she'd finished breakfast. She was with her husband and she was off to work. And she got a call, and the call display said it was from her bank. Now she's obviously knows about scams and all the things that we talk about. So she pulled out her bank card, and the phone number on the back of the bank card matched the call display. So she thought, what am I going to do? She asked her husband. He said, I wouldn't answer it. She was a little more inquisitive, so she picked up the phone and she answered the phone, and of course it was the bank fraud department. Now in Canada we have 4 major banks. This was one of the 4 major banks. It's a very big bank. I'm not going to mention the name because that's not important. However, the fraud department said there was active fraud being done on her account, and they wanted her help in dealing with that. Now, she of course has her back up on this one, and she understands that she's, I'm not going to do this. But they were very smart. They were very skillful, and they didn't want her password. They didn't want her to do anything that was very unusual. They just asked her a couple of things. One, they said, do you have the app on your phone for the bank? And she said, yes, I do. And they said, would you mind logging in and making a few changes? And they told her what to do. And they were just moving a little bit of money between accounts, and that was all. They thanked her very much and said they had the problem under control. And when she hung up, she immediately had notifications from her bank that $30,000 had been transferred from a line of credit in her business account to her personal account, and that it had been transferred out of her account by an e-transfer. Interestingly enough, the next call that came from the same number, which was her bank, and they said, this is the fraud department calling. And she said, no, I just talked to you. And they said, no, that wasn't us. So you can see where this went. And she lost her $30,000. Now, I think it's important for you to understand, in this situation, obviously the number was spoofed. In other words, when you look at the call display on your phone, the bank number that comes up could be actually a fraud number. How that occurs, complicated. How they got into her account and how all that transaction stuff happened. Let's just look at this again. I think this was a very intelligent lady. She had a lot of knowledge about technology. She answered the phone. She believed it to be truly the bank, and she followed some directions which she thought were pretty innocuous, and she lost $30,000. Now, to me, if a bank is going to prevent fraud and insure you against fraud, you would think that they would just cover this, because this clearly was a fraudulent act. In fact, just to fast forward in the story, she reported this to the police, and through an investigation process, they did actually catch the person who did this. Yes, they arrested them and charged the individual. However, the bank has also refused to give her money back, as they said that she must have somehow provided some security information for these people. So what's the point of my story today? Well, first of all, I felt bad because when I initially heard this story, I thought this was about somebody who did something really dumb. But she hadn't. She was well-informed, very articulate, bright person. I think did a pretty darn good job on looking after her security. So what could she have done better? I'm going to tell you, with voice modeling and all the AI tools hackers have now, it is impossible for anybody, even the smartest people, to prevent these very, very skilled people from accessing your bank account and stealing money. So it is very difficult. So the one thing I wanted to let seniors know is that it is so important, if a call comes in like this, that you hang up. In other words, you simply say to the person, I will call you back at the bank's number on the back of my card. Don't hit redial or anything like that, because that'll just send you back to the scammer, right? So it's very important that you do not continue the conversation after you find out this is something that's going to make you uncomfortable. It is extremely important that you hang up the phone. This will disconnect the call, and then you can call back your trusted bank or credit union or whatever by the phone number that is on the back of your bank card. So the message that you need to remember, and the takeaway point of this video, is to hang up and call. hang up and call. You see, as seniors, sometimes in the morning our brain's a little fuzzy, sometimes we've taken medication, sometimes we're just not on our game. And will you remember when that call comes in on call display of all the things we've taught you about security? Probably not. Your first instinct might be to answer that phone. So hang up and call. Hang up and call. Remember that. On our Tuesday newsletter at Tech for Senior, I'm going to be inserting into our newsletter a section on security, and I'm going to give you little tips each week of the things that you should be doing. But I'm going to title the section in our newsletter Hang Up and Call. I'm going to label it that. So again, the more you read it, you'll remember hang up and call, hang up and call. That's so important. If you hang up on the person, it disconnects the relationship, and then you can go and get help from the real people at your bank, credit union, or whatever financial institution you have. The other thing that's important to understand is with seniors, it's always helpful to have an answering machine or voicemail. Now, the nice thing about an answering machine is they can leave a message. But you know something? Scammers don't usually leave messages. They want you to get you off your guard, and they want you to do something right now. So screening your calls with an answering machine is often a very good thing to do. Also, remember, you can then, the tables turn. You can now phone that individual back when you're feeling your best. You maybe enable some friends to come over to help you. You can gather up resources before you make that call if it's a call that you want to make. So answering machines are great. Voicemail is great if you don't have a landline. I will encourage you to learn how to use voicemail, because as a retired physician, I spent a lot of time in my life trying to find people, and most of them didn't know how to use voicemail. So please, if you are going to use voicemail for a cell phone number, please learn how to use voicemail. So in summary, I felt bad for this person. I hope they do get their money back. I think it was a clear case of fraud. In fact, they caught the person that did it. But remember, about 5 to 10 years ago, most of the banks in Canada and most in the United States changed their terms of service. And they have significantly limited their liability for fraudulent activity on phones and electronic transfers. So while you may think your bank's got your back and they're going to protect you, I'm going to suggest that may not be the case. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Hopefully you've had a great afternoon with me here. Hopefully you enjoyed the great view here. I think the rains are coming. Anyway, until we see you again, have a great day. Before you get started, I just want to say goodbye to our friends over on YouTube. Thank you for coming. We're entering into the music segment now. If you want to pop over and participate in the Q&A, you're most welcome to do so. And let me just hit the stop live stream and we will stop that. There you go. Thanks. Take it away, Mike.
Okay, so today's feature artist is Bobby Hart. And then, most people are going to say, who in the heck is Bobby Hart? Well, he was born Robert Luke Harshman, a songwriter best known for his work with Tommy Boyce and the writer behind many of the Monkees hits. He was born on February 18th, 1939 in Phoenix, Arizona. His birth name, Robert Luke Harshman. He was the son of a church minister. After finishing high school, he served in the U.S. Army Reserves. In 1959, he met Tommy Boyce, forming the songwriting partnership of Boyce and Hart. They had success writing for other artists before working with the Monkees. For example, Come a Little Bit Closer for Jay and the Americans was an early hit, which I'm sure most people remember. They also wrote Hurt So Bad, recorded by Little Anthony and the Imperials. However, they teamed up with the Monkees. They were tapped to provide much of the music for the Monkees television show in the mid-60s. Some of the popular songs they wrote was the Monkees' first debut #1 single, Last Train to Clarksville, theme from the Monkees, I Want to Be Free, The Words, Valerie, I'm Not Your Stepping Stone, among others. Their later work, they recorded for as themselves as an artist with their own names and hits like I Wonder What She's Doing Tonight, which I'm sure most people will recognize. They were also nominated for an Academy Award in 1983 for the song Over You, co-written with Austin Roberts from the movie Tender Mercies. He was married twice, and his most recent wife was Mary Ann Hart. They had 2 children from a previous marriage. He had 2 children from previous marriage. Apart from his music, he developed a strong spiritual interest, studied yoga philosophy, and incorporated mediation in his daily life. He wrote an autobiography entitled, I don't know how they got this on the cover of the book, Psychedelic Bubblegum, Boyce and Hart, the Monkees, and Turning Mayhem into Miracles. He passed away not that long ago on September 10th in Los Angeles at the age of 86 after a period of declining health, including a hip injury. So the cut that I've selected for today was his big hit solo was Boyce and Hart, I Wonder What She's Doing Tonight, and I'll stop my share and let you take it away there, Ron. You can sure hear the Monkees' style in that was certainly a classic from the 60s. Good memories.
Well, thank you, Mike. Excellent. Huey liked it too. Huey liked it too. Excellent. Well done. All right. It's almost top of the hour. We got through the whole show. Well done. Well done. We're moving now into the Q&A section for